I really think that we are going to that YouTube will continue to evolve with one caveat.
Mm-hmm.
Government regulation might transform the whole platform.
Yeah.
That if it gets to a point where creators can't earn a living out of it, they're going to get off it.
Well, let me add to that. I think one of the biggest appeals of YouTube was the fact that you felt like you were part of a real experience. You saw the authenticity of the presenter, that they were unfiltered, and they didn't have anyone regulating their content. So if you start bringing regulation into YouTube, could it potentially start mirroring what we're seeing on mainstream media, where you have regulators determining the type of content, censoring language, censoring the types of material that you're able to produce, which then makes it no longer YouTube. It essentially becomes what we've been accustomed to in the past, which is TV. And we don't want to see it regulated. What made that so appealing was you could turn on YouTube 5 years ago and be exposed to the most radical opinion, meme videos, political commentary, anything you'd never heard of before. You could come across all sorts of content. It was unfiltered.
This is the tricky thing that social media developed and ran.
Yeah.
And governments are going, what are we
going to do about it?
Right? It's like drones.
Yeah.
People don't know how to manage drones, right? And they're struggling. And I think governments will do that. But you think about it. This new regulation that YouTube's brought in is purely because of the US laws. Nothing to do with Australian laws.
Okay, but the EU actually fined Google 1.49 billion euros for thwarting antitrust regulation. So that had something to do with the way they were advertising and collecting data. So 1.49 billion.
Well, you know what it really points
by
at?
the EU.
You know what it points at? Mm-hmm. Say the Australian government changes regulations around social media.
Yes.
They can shut down that platform in that country.
So we'd have the ACCC.
Yeah,
because they're a regulating body, right?
YouTube could turn around.
Yep.
And say, okay, we are not going to allow YouTube to be shown in Australia then because we can't change we can't meet those requirements.
This was the big concern that YouTube...
Then we should start our own Australian YouTube.
We should.
Johnny Tube.
The Now
Silly
Tube.
The Silly Tube.
Silly Tube. No, that sounds a bit silly. What about the Now Tube?
The Now Tube.
There you go.
Stay tuned. We're currently developing it now.
We just came up with an idea on air there.
But this is the biggest thing. It's governments that are going to... Yep. You look at what's happening with drones, and governments are trying to regulate and trying to restrict their use and that kind of thing.
Yep.
And it could get to a point where you just can't meet a regulation anymore.
Yeah.
And so then what happens? People stop selling drones. It will die off by itself potentially, but it's the same with all these platforms. We're at the mercy of the governments. And I feel sorry for social media platforms.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of people don't, but I do, because you're talking about a platform that is basically driven by us.
Mm.
And we choose to be on that platform. Why does Facebook need to manage me? Because I've got freedom of choice. I can put something on there or not. Okay, I get it that they grab my information and they could use it in sort of misappropriate ways potentially. But the thing is, I chose to put my details on there. If you're worried about Facebook or YouTube or whatever accessing your personal data, don't get on the platform. Don't sign up for anything. Just don't go near it. Stick to watching television.
Well, originally when the social media platforms came about, they were known to be a provider and purely a provider. But once they start being bound by these types of regulations and acting like a publisher where they restrict content and have these different criteria for children content, adult content, and they start to control what is actually seen, then if they become a publisher, they become liable.
That's true.
So it's a very tenuous area that they're entering, but they have to be careful.
You just changed my mind, Johnny.
What's that?
You just changed my mind. Because thinking about it like from that perspective, yes.
Yes.
And you know what? They do have to put some controls over what people do, because you could have all sorts of wrong stuff being put onto
which
these
they do, and they have algorithms to take care of that, and they have teams of people filtering the data to make sure we're not seeing, the most appalling content you could imagine. So it's already in place for the obvious stuff. But once you start determining that we don't like this particular political point of view, we don't like the fact that you're advertising this type of product. Once you start having an opinion as a social media company as to what's allowed in your platform, you are an editor, a publisher, which is the way things used to be done. And as you know, our newspapers are frequently sued for publishing something that was incorrect. Up until now, social media had been able to escape that because they claim they were just a service.
Yeah.
It was simply a service.
I'll tell you what, the costs of administering these platforms is just going to go through the roof.
Yes.
The amount of people are going to be needed. Well, okay, they'll try to use AI and all this kind of stuff to try to filter out stuff and whatever.
Yeah.
But you're still going to have people behind it all.
Yeah.
In every country.
Yeah.
Keeping an eye on things and managing cases and all that. It's just going to be horrendous.
Yeah.
If you have to invest in YouTube and stuff like that, you'd have to think twice, really.
Yeah. But look, they'll get through it. And I think you're right. Previously, you said they're going to be around. They'll keep evolving and creators will evolve with it. So the positive side is that, as creators, we have to think about how we produce our content, put a little bit more thought in how we develop. And obviously, if this is now becoming an issue, maybe you have to mature with your content and market to a different audience if you want to monetize.
Question for you, Johnny, because you're doing a lot of work through your own channel, Touch Technology Review. There's a plug, like and subscribe. What do you think? With you're creating content for the platform.
Yes.
Where do you see your channel going as far as the kind of content, what you're doing?
For me, I'm focusing on educational content and news media type content around technology. So my focus hasn't really shifted. And the most benefit I'm getting is when I'm educating and I'm getting the most views for that type of content and the most interaction.
So it's a bit like how-to kind of videos?
It's how-to. It might be new product reviews. So it's really designed to provide information and know-how for people interested in technology, digital marketing, and that sort of industry. So it's very specific. It's very niche. And I've built up my following for that particular audience. And I don't really see it changing from there because I'm actually doing what I'm interested in and what I do on a daily basis.
But see, what you're doing, you don't need to evolve a lot because what you're doing is just a tried and true concept in life, really. People used to write books about educating people, tips on how to use software. You used to go and buy Word for Dummies books and stuff like that. Now you just go to YouTube. So you're replicating a demand that people have and a need that people have.
To learn and educate.
It's not necessarily, people aren't watching you for entertainment value, even though, you're best looking guy. Well, besides myself at this table at the moment.
A little bit boring.
Second best. But you're creating content that's a valuable content. And I suppose that, that's what I think will happen with a lot of these other, that's why I think a lot of these other creators that are just doing more entertainment value, frivolity, popular kid at school stuff, that where do they go to because when they're not going to be popular, because they're not going to be popular at some point in time, where you're providing a service and a valuable service which can continue for a long time.
Exactly. And the way I like to think about it is that because it's what I do on a daily basis and I'm inherently invested in that topic, it's very easy for me to produce those videos. I don't have to put a lot of thought. There's no friction in the creative process because it's part of what I'm doing when I'm liaising with clients, when I'm researching my own products, when I purchase a product and use it and demonstrate it.
Yeah.
Kind of fits in with the flow of my own life.
Yeah.
So there's no barrier and there's no creative block. I'm always able to find something to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas people that are approaching the platform with the mentality that they want to get famous, they want to tap into the latest trend, sometimes they become unfaithful to themselves and try and become somebody else.
Johnny, how many YouTubers have had breakdowns in the past year?
Have they? I only know Casey Neistat who said that he was over with the blog.
He's had a massive break.
Yeah.
It was interesting. He's done a bit of a slight backflip in that he was really pushing people, do more work. He had tattooed on his arm, do more work.
Yes.
That kind of thing. And he's really realised since he moved from New York to LA that, wait a second, he was out of control and he was burnt out.
Yeah.
And I think we can all get burnt out. There's weeks that I burn out. There's months that I'll be burnt out. As I've got older, I get to about September in a year and I'm pretty tired. And so we're running up to the end of the year now. So I'm reaching that point of, okay, I've had enough of this year. I need to have a break and then I'll come back next year. But I've seen a lot of YouTubers get on there, shoot a video in tears going, I'm really struggling. I'm confused. I don't know what to do. Creatively I'm struggling and all that kind of stuff. Hey, Johnny, can I just butt in?
Yeah, sure, go.
Something just popped up news feed on my phone.
Yeah, tell me.
Sydney Morning Herald. Attorney General Christian Porter says social media platforms such as Facebook and Twitter should be treated the same as traditional publishers under defamation law.
That's what we're talking about. Exactly. Isn't that timely?
Let me see if I can read more into that. Yeah, that literally just came now. Yeah. So
I totally disagree.
See what's happening?
I totally disagree because the thing that made social media special was that we didn't have anyone governing what people were able to produce on those platforms.
Yeah.
It was a forum for everybody. It was open to contrary opinions, and you were able to discover all types of content. Once you start imposing that on the social media providers, we're going to be basically back to where we were 20 years ago.
What they're saying is Mr. Porter expressed the view in a speech on Wednesday declaring the legal environment for traditional media companies was not fair and it was necessary to update defamation law as part of a national review being undertaken by federal and state governments. So you were talking about, being a publisher. So a newspaper, how's a newspaper differ to a social media platform, and what regulations, why should someone be allowed to get on to Facebook and slam somebody else? And it's really interesting what this Christian Porter is saying in this article and what he's been talking about. And he's sort of acknowledged in the article that he knows how complex it is an issue for social media platforms to really take control because of the sheer volume of content. And that's going to be part of the problem, that with the sheer volume of content that's being put up there, how do you keep track of it? And, can they get away with it? Can they pass the buck? So, for example, you sign up to the platform, you have to agree to the terms and conditions, which is that you indemnify the platform from any defamation cases or anything like that. So it's not Facebook that is the problem, it's the individual that is the problem. So I have a go at you on Facebook and ruin your reputation. Do you sue Facebook or do you sue me? And as it
stands now, you can only sue the individual.
Yeah.
But what would happen if Facebook become the publisher? They're liable and they'll be sued, and they don't want that.
But see, this is what it says here, right? Yeah. Facebook has resisted describing itself as a publisher, maintaining it is a tech company, not a media company. The company has come under pressure for the position, facing calls to accept more responsibility for the information spread over its platform. This is going to be one of those debates, Johnny, that's going to go on for a long time.
But I tell you what started this, when Facebook and YouTube ran their first round of culling of the creators that they didn't like after the elections during the Trump campaign.
Yeah.
They basically shadow banned a lot of their creators, which then opened them up to being considered publishers when they're actually controlling what content we're seeing. So when it first started, they weren't really able to do that. But in recent years, due to certain political pressures, they've been pretty much banning content creators for having the wrong opinion, which turns you into a publisher.
Yeah.
So even though they're declaring they're not publishers, they're acting like a publisher. And this is where they've opened themselves up for this type of litigation.
So what you're telling me is that I should go and study law and really focus on the social media platform kind of thing, because they're going to make a killing.
I'll tell you what, if you go and study law, I reckon we can get those Shaw SMBs within a week. What do you reckon?
Oh, nah, law's not like it used to be.
Oh, it's not?
Nah.
Oh, really? Even that's
everyone's
been
doing
disrupted.
their best to try to stay away from lawyers.
Oh, okay.
I've got friends in the law game. My brother's a lawyer.
Yeah, I know.
And
Good old Tony's doing well.
Everyone's trying to steer clear of going to lawyers. So they're going to...
They've caught on now.
Yeah, but this is just...
It's a minefield, silly. It's interesting we brought it up now because it is happening at this point of time, and that the Australian... So that was an Australian legal... representative? Who was it?
It was Attorney General.
Attorney General. Okay.
Yeah, but that was
that's just
good timing. But see, that just proves a point, Johnny. Literally, as we were talking about it, the government's looking at it, and no doubt they've got teams of people looking into it. But I just don't know what Facebook and YouTube and Twitter can do beyond vetting everything before it goes live. Like I did a post to Facebook before we came. We started doing the podcast, Johnny, and it was a little video piece. It goes up straight away. There is nothing in between me sending it. Like I said, Facebook processing. That's just probably compressing it or something to get it onto the platform. But
where they're going to essentially move is through the use of AI to have it all done for you. When I upload my content to YouTube, if there's any issue with copyright, within about 3 minutes, it's flagged and I'm notified.
Yeah.
So they have AI that can pick up audio. So if there's a music track in there, they can do it with audio, they can do it with words, and they'll be able to do it with visuals as well. It's sophisticated process.
And the challenge is, though, this is the next challenge, is extrapolating it out. Let's say with this new regulation that there's people that haven't ticked that box that says they're targeting young kids or whatever. What happens if there's 1 million cases? Right?
Yeah, can you sue 1 million people for it?
Is it going to be AI then that's going to be sending out fines? And if you don't, then what happens? Like, how are you going to fight 1 million cases? Drone people. Let's
Yeah,
all go and
yeah.
break the rules, and let's go and watch and see what they can do about everybody breaking the rules. See, then it's like Uber.
Yeah.
Uber came into Australia and they went to a lot of countries and it was illegal for them to operate. Did they stop? No. What have been the repercussions for Uber?
They've been fine. That's why they're not running into profit.
Do they care?
But they're still going. Yeah.
They
have
going.
the end game in mind.
And you know what happened?
Yeah.
They changed the regulations in the country to allow them to operate.
Yeah.
So
We don't know
that
how,
the new trend?
Yeah, we don't know, silly. Maybe it's an attempt just to change the behavior. Maybe it's
been seen to do something.
Just there. That's right.
Yes, American government. Look what we've done.
Yeah.
We've sent an email out. We've done this. Well done, YouTube. You've done a good job.
And obviously they're doing it for a reason. There are some concerns that, to exploit data of people that are under the age and that don't have the ability to make the right decisions. I think you need some form of protection. But whether it's, I don't know, whether it's commensurate with fining YouTube millions and millions of dollars and the individual up to $42,000, I don't know if that's the right way to go. But anyway, getting back onto content creation, we were just saying how, we're just talking about the pressures that content creators have, and they used to feel obliged to create daily vlogs. And after seeing the burnout, some people still face unrealistic expectations about what they should be doing on social media. And I think it's really important that they come up with a plan and a strategy that fits in with their lifestyle, and that they're actually enjoying what they're doing and not just doing it for sense of obligation.
Johnny, you think